Hi, I'm Dominic Downing, sound designer and video game enthusiast. Welcome to episode 1 of Sound Simple, designing sound for a video game character. When designing sound for a character, there are a lot of things that you need to be thinking about. This may include their personality, different items or weapons they may carry, and of course more. Their sound may also be influenced by where this character originates from or trials they may have faced throughout their life. If you're working on a video game, chances are you will have visual references to pull from, as well as other information about your character that can help influence the audio you create. I was fortunate enough to have two amazing artists lend me their creations for this episode. Huge shout out to Thiago Lehmann and MacDonald. Check out their work, linked in the description. To kick us off, we're going to look at Thiago's The Undead Swordsman from his personal project, Throne of Bones. This character is a mismatch of legendary swordsmen stitched together by the dark arts of necromancy. Their creator did not last long, as the undead swordsman is an unstoppable fighting force, master of all swords. Resting in an old tower, the undead swordsman murders any unfortunate trespassers who may cross paths with this rotten and corrupted relic of the past. Let's start with an audio one-sheet. A technique also shown in Riot's YouTube series League Frequencies. This is a great way to get your ideas and thoughts down in writing and will keep you on track when working on sound design. A character's description or lore is a great place to grab ideas from. We can see that this character is arrogant, violent, and terrifying. With this information, we can start thinking about different audio pillars, themes, or ideas. I'm also thinking about how the player would interact with this character in-game. Things like the occasional disorienting and loud sounds would work well with this character to telegraph an incoming attack to the player. Different sounds for different weapons or abilities this character may use could also help describe to the player what is happening and what they should be looking out for, even when they can't see it. When looking at the undead swordsman, we can see that this character is mainly comprised of bones, wearing chains, light plate armor, cloth, and leather. Those are great materials to add to our sound palette and would work well when recording and or designing Foley audio. Going back to our description, we can see that this character is all the best bits of fallen Legends of War. Having vocal elements incorporated into this character's sound palette would be a great idea. For their larger blade, we could have big whooshes and large crushing stone impacts, then sharp, painful and resonant metallic audio for their smaller blade. Blood and subtle gore textures would be great for any magical sounds. Finally, seeing this as a Frankenstein type of creation, it would be really cool to have different voices layered on top of each other for their dialogue. Once we have our audio pillars and sound palette, we have a great foundation to work on and a clear understanding of how this character will sound. Any other sounds may be a detriment to the uniqueness of this character. A good idea is to create a list of sounds that you should avoid. Things like chimes or anything mystical may take away from the fact that this character is meant to be terrifying, as I mentioned before. Too many rattling bones could make them sound fragile and weak. So there you have it. This is our final audio one-sheet for the Undead Swordsman. Let's take a look at a very different character and briefly go over the character's audio one-sheet. Scarlet N12 is a vehicle driven by Josh Rhodes, a character pulled from Liam MacDonald's personal project, Toro. Again, we'll start with the character's description. Josh Rhodes from Britain is rich and snobby. He's arrogant and thinks he could never lose. Losing is not an option. In his mind, he couldn't think of anything worse. Rhodes would risk it all to win. He craves being in the spotlight and his fans love him. With this complicated character compared to our previous one, the process of coming up with ideas may look a little different. I only know that these Toro vehicles are Formula 1 racing cars from the future from talking with Liam. You may find when working on a team that you have to get out from behind your computer screen and have a conversation with the people you are collaborating with. This is a great way to bounce ideas back and forth or give yourself a better understanding of the ideas behind the character you are designing audio for. Here's another good example of this. When I was presented with a character like Josh Rhodes with that much of an attitude, I thought it would be a shame not to have a loudspeaker hooked up to the vehicle and have the driver themselves mic'd up to be able to talk smack to the other contestants in the event or communicate with potential teammates. Liam hadn't thought of this idea, but he loved it. Those were just a couple of the audio pillars I just mentioned that will help influence the sound palette for this character. One of the really cool ideas I had for this character's sound palette is a big synthesized Formula 1 sounding engine. I feel with added synthesis to some current day engines as a sound designer, I could create some really awesome audio. Without an audio one-sheet, I may have been able to throw some sounds together and make something cool, but with a process like this, you can come up with clear ideas of what you want to do and then refine them. That process of refining ideas also ties in with our list of sounds to avoid. When speaking with Liam MacDonald about his character Scarlet M12, I asked him, as a concept artist, when designing, how in-depth do you go with your ideas? Liam replied saying, very in-depth. As far as the vehicles go for Toro, I did close to 100 variations of that thing. A lot of the time spent researching Formula 1 cars and the sport as a whole. The characters were future Formula 1 drivers in my mind, with suits that could handle insane heat if they crashed and caught on fire. The chest plates house the gas that compress their chests for making super fast turns so they don't pass out, much like a Jet G suit. Liam then finished by saying, along with the shape and colour design choices, obviously a lot of this stuff isn't seen in the drawing, but all these thoughts dictated how they ended up looking in the end. When designing sound for video games, we should be thinking as in-depth as someone like Liam MacDonald or Thiago Lehmann is when designing. This will help inspire you to create some amazing work. Going through a design process like this is a great habit to get into and will only benefit your creativity. If you're new to sound design or been in the industry for years and you are not in the Blip Sounds community Discord, I really recommend you join. The link is in the description. It's a great place to connect with fellow sound designers, share knowledge with each other, and keep up to date with what's happening in the audio world. I hope you enjoyed this video, managed to learn something, or maybe just be inspired. If you have any questions or feedback, leave a comment. I can't wait to make more videos like these. Thanks for watching.